Coming up on Arts District, music inspired by northern New Mexico's surprising heritage.
The Colorado Business Committee for the Arts reveals their 2020 Business for the Arts awardees.
We've got music from Jay Triple at the KUVO studio.
And so much more.
And I'm Michael Gadlin. Welcome back to Arts District from Rocky Mountain PBS.
And welcome to Michael's studio. You know, DNA testing kits have grown in popularity in recent years.
And many people are often surprised to learn about their heritage. So you thought you knew your family's descendants, only to find that your ancestors are from an ethnic background you had never dreamed of.
One composer and lyricist turned this experience into the subject of a new body of musical work.
For this story, we turn to Arts District reporter Tamara Banks.
The picturesque landscape of southwestern U.S., home to more than half of the Hispanic and Latino population in the country, largely Catholic. Most of them take part in traditional Catholic ceremonies, of course, but they also practice other rituals that most family members can't explain, like saying a prayer on Friday while lighting candles, keeping kosher, not cleaning house on the Sabbath. Rituals fairly common for Latinos in the southwest part of the U.S., but have no connection to Catholicism. Ancestors from 15th century Spain were keeping the origins of these rituals a secret, for a good reason.
They'd either be killed, tortured, or expelled.
Because these ancestors were Jewish, conversos, forced to convert from Judaism to Catholicism. Many Spaniards who hid their Jewish identity came to the New World with Columbus and other conquistadors and settled in northern New Mexico and southern Colorado, right here in the San Luis Valley. And it was far enough away from Mexico City, then the major hub for the Catholic Church. Out here, they were out of sight from the Spanish Inquisition.
Kaddish is it's a prayer of praise of God in Jewish culture and Jewish religion.
Today, there are echoes of Jewish heritage and practices coming to light through the music. The descendants of Jewish conversos are known as crypto-Jews. David Wohl, a musician and lyricist, has composed a musical presentation of a poem called Kaddish for Columbus.
So to say Kaddish or Kaddish for Columbus is sort of an ironic, multi-layered kind of statement, if you will, because Columbus was not Jewish. And yet the poet decides that she's going to use the occasion of his remembrance to praise God or to praise a new way of being. Kaddish for Columbus integrates Jewish music with music from Spain and North Africa, as well as melodies from the southwestern part of the U.S. They're hints of those musical traditions expressing the emotional journey of someone who discovers their true roots and are discovering what that heritage means to them today.
And of course, some of the music we play and the circle dances we do, they're common across, you know, they come from that Judaic tradition, but they're common in Spanish America, Hispanic America, and the Valley.
Dr. Lorenzo Trujillo, professor at Metro State University of Denver, director of the Roadrunner Mariachis Group, and performer in Kaddish for Columbus, is one of many Latinos discovering through DNA testing his ancestors were Jewish.
They would be brought before the Inquisition, tortured, sometimes killed, unless they converted. And even after they converted, the conversos, the converted Jews, sometimes were found to be not fully Christianized and practicing Judaism, and they would still be punished, tortured, and sometimes killed.
Dr. Trujillo's family came to what was then New Spain and settled in the area known as Hispaniola. Today, we call that area New Mexico.
Part of the family moved to San Luis, Colorado, under the Boubien land grant. And in the Boubien land grant, many of the families settled. The first mercantile store in Colorado was a relative of mine, Dario Gallegos.
That mercantile store is the R&R Market, the oldest family-owned business in Colorado, established in 1857 with Jewish family ties.
Many families in the American Southwest and other areas, Mexico, they've discovered that, oh, this is why we do this. This is why we don't clean the house on Saturday, or this is why we cover a mirror when someone dies, or this is why we don't eat this kind of food or that kind of food.
Music and art are some of the ways to tell this story.
The poet says or cries out, "Return, Jerusalem girl, come out, you sunburned bride.
Come from the lion's mouth, the leopard mountains.
Return, Jerusalem girl, with your honey milk tongues, with spike.
I never knew much about it, and we would hear little inklings of interesting stories as I grew up. My family was from New Mexico.
Deborah Gallegos is the voice of the poem Kaddish for Columbus. She too recently found out about her Jewish heritage.
And there's a sense of discovery when you find out that maybe your past included different paths.
Paths ancestors traveled to save their lives.
You know, when I've traveled to Spain, you go into the Jewish quarters and you see remnants of a thriving, brilliant, prosperous civilization and people that were just expelled. And then it really brings to mind, you know, even current tensions in America and in the world with identity and race relations.
Identity politics lead the daily news. Race relations are more complex than ever. And discussions about identity and discovering who we are can be challenging.
And that's the power of music. That's why people say music is a universal language, which it is, regardless of the technical specific differences between this genre, or you know, this ethnic group, or this national group, this linguistic group. There's a certain universality that is in all human-made sound. You know, the way we look at ourselves and our world.
Now the hunt begins anew to get a little bit more information.
For Arts District, I'm Tamara Banks.
Fascinating. The story of the Spanish Jewish heritage really illuminates the convergence of cultures that totally defines southern Colorado and northern New Mexico.
It's unknown how many people actually share these genetics. The Society of Crypto-Judaic Studies is a great resource for information.
Next up, each year, the Colorado Business Committee for the Arts honors organizations and leaders making great strides to bridge the business and creative sectors across the state.
And Kate, you were a recipient of the EY Next Wave Leadership Award at the CBCA in 2018?
That's right, and now the 2020 winners have been announced. Let's get to know some of these arts superstars.
So Youth on Record started with a band called Flowbots. Flowbots was a band that I'm still a part of that really wanted to make sure that we empowered our listeners, and just singing songs about their power wasn't enough. So we created a nonprofit organization, flowbots.org. Over the years, it developed into something that far surpassed like our wildest dreams and became Youth on Record.
Youth on Record was founded under this idea that music is powerful and that music can impact communities, that music can motivate people to make positive changes in their communities. Youth on Record is employing professional local musicians to go into the classroom and teach 4-credit high school classes.
It's no surprise that Denver's becoming a more and more expensive city. Youth on Record, we're also making these opportunities possible for musicians to stay. We're trying to show that being involved, being a part of it, is also another way that you can sustain yourself as an artist.
Over our 10 years, we realized that once high school ends, that's not enough. And so our programming now goes up to age 24. We have a fellowship program where students can enroll and learn professional, personal, and artistic development skills that will see them through to jobs in the creative industry. And we've had several students who have started their own businesses. They're opening for well-known acts. They've started talent companies.
We know that the creative industries is one of the largest growing in the state. And we know that we need to keep the homegrown talent in order to have the advantage of like a home team.
Investing in young people economically in the arts does two things, right? It creates upward economic mobility, but it also creates the opportunity for stories and culture to be shared. You can't build the creative economy of the future and ignore young people. They are the creative economy of the future.
Anythink is a public library in Adams County. 10 years ago, we reinvented libraries and we became Anythink because Adams County people deserve like the best, most innovative, most wonderful libraries in the world.
At Anythink, we consider ourselves an experience library. So everything we do puts customers at the center, and we tried to provide exceptional experiences for people that come in. We worked with the community to create this singing tree that is out front. The tree is actually an instrument that you can play. So people of all ages come to the library and enjoy it.
The studio really connects directly to the experience, which in the studio, we create opportunities for people to kind of tinker with things.
One of the things that we try to provide, again, are those hands-on, interactive, participatory experiences. What we've seen is this amazing cycle of people coming in and learning in the studio, achieving that mastery, and then coming back and becoming artists and residents themselves. We have an Artomat at Anythink Wright Farms. This is an old refurbished cigarette machine that dispenses art. $5 pieces of art. For us, it's just really a delight to make art accessible in this way to our community.
Art actually is infused in almost everything we do at Anythink. And over the course of the last 10 to 11 years, we've actually shown that our libraries have a huge impact on the quality of life in Adams County.
We know that creativity isn't just painting and music and dance, but creativity is problem solving and risk-taking and open-mindedness and producing something, or just the process of producing something.
Everyone gets to be part of this wonderful experience at the library, and we believe everyone's creative.
America's Mattress is a family-owned and operated sleep shop. We opened our stores in 2004. We have 3 locations in Grand Junction, Glenwood Springs, and Montrose. The Weehawken Creative Arts is a really unique organization, an arts organization, primarily servicing southwestern Colorado. America's Mattress became the presenting sponsor for Weehawken Creative Arts in 2016. And very quickly realized that there was more needed than just a financial sponsorship. For us, when we can provide the logistics by moving giant set pieces and moving ballet bars and studio mirrors and mattress stacks for the Princess and the Pea, when we can do those things, that's freeing up the creative talent. And they're able to focus on their expertise. They're able to be creative. Our employees really get a sense of purpose. They're seeing the dancers, they're seeing the parents, they're seeing the enormous community support that's surrounding that, and they feel like they're a part of these grand productions that are happening. Our financial support is also providing scholarships for students within the community that might not otherwise have been able to afford to join a dance program or to join a theater program. America's Mattress really sees the benefit that the creative arts bring into our communities. It stabilizes our communities, not only economically, but it also offers just a sense of camaraderie. It's a really unique experience for students who otherwise would not have the access to the arts if we didn't have Weehawken Creative Arts. And I think that's why America's Mattress is so focused on ensuring that that is available for students and adults for years to come.
It started a long time ago in a little small town called DeKalb, Texas. My sister and I we would go back up in the woods and play theater and play film. And so that's how I started performing. Art is a powerful tool for change. What attracted me to doing theater was I had an opportunity to do things that were socially conscious, things that meant something to me personally. So when I started doing those kind of things, I said, what else can I do that can make this last longer? If you do a film or you do radio, you can listen to that, you can watch that forever. My roommate at the time, Shay, told me that you're very interested in radio. I said, yeah, I am. He said, you ever heard of this series called Destination Freedom? I said, no, I haven't. She said, there are black radio plays. So that led me into doing Destination Freedom from then on. So I did a lot of those original shows, but in the last 6 to 7 years, I've started to do my own version of them, writing my own shows, all once again dealing with social justice, because that's what those shows are about. They're about heroes and sheroes of the time. Unfortunately, those same issues that they did then exist today. So the beautiful thing about being an artist is, especially a solo artist as myself, you get a chance to collaborate with different people. One of my strengths, I feel, is helping young artists, giving them an opportunity either through an internship, encouragement, placing them in a role. I can see the correlation between business, art, and the impact that one can have on the other. So my goal always as an artist is how can we marry the two? And I'm very honored to receive this award. I am so honored and so blessed.
Arts and culture are gaining recognition in Colorado, and these CBCA award recipients are a great example of the incredible work being done.
You can learn all about these amazing folks who do so much to affect change at cbca.org, and thanks to CBCA for sharing these amazing stories with us.
And if you're wondering what these recipients got to take home,
sculptor Brian Grossman of Boulder created a beautiful piece for each awardee.
We take a look at the unique process behind the making of these awards inside Brian's home studio.
Brian Grossman has always been a free spirit. As a young man, he was an accomplished athlete and even served in the U.S. Coast Guard. Brian had always been a creative soul, and in 1973, he decided to explore art as a career. He enrolled at the University of Colorado.
In the art department, I was considered an outcast because I was doing these big chainsaw carvings and laminating stuff.
His artistic focus sharpened when he completed a student project titled Milady. It ignited his passion for sculpture and changed the course of his life.
It is the first thing in my life at that time that I had ever done for me that was mine. And over all these years, it's the reason I like to do abstract work.
In the early 1980s, Brian was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. It was a turning point in his life and forced him to adapt his approach to sculpture.
It's an extreme challenge. I used to be able to stand for anywhere from 2 to 6 hours. And over the years, I've had to adapt. And don't get impatient. That's been the biggest thing in my life, learning patience.
Brian's sculpture has evolved over the years. Today, he works primarily in alabaster and bronze.
On every piece I do, the first thing I do is I drill a hole through it. It creates an imbalance, artistically, energetically, physically, everything. They're holes. Then they become space. Then they become forms. And then it makes it an experience. I'm just amazed at the ability that the cosmos has granted me and the ability to keep learning, to keep trying, and not to give up. The piece that CBCA is using for this award is entitled Golden Clipper. I carved it probably 10 years ago. It was one of my first pieces where it was really fragile, and it really evoked for me that sailing, the water, the movement. I think it's a great piece. Of course, I'm prejudiced because I think they're all great pieces.
Wow, what a captivating piece. And thank you so much to our partners at the Colorado Business Committee for the Arts for producing and sharing that glimpse into the artist's process.
More Brian Grossman's work can be found online.
From Sacagawea to Spock, artist Shirley Miyake's mixed media altars honor historical and contemporary figures.
After 2 years of working on these pieces, Shirley's installation is finally realized at the City of Thornton's Oz Gallery.
Adam Bodicher reports.
The name of this installation is Sinners and Recovering Catholics. The name of the show is a little bizarre because the show is actually a little bizarre. I could never really relate to a saint or a martyr, but I could definitely relate to people that we look at today and we see their flaws, but we do respect what they've accomplished. And you go to Catholic Church and you look at all these statues And so I thought I would do something kind of like that, but in probably a different way. This piece here unlocks and has a secret compartment in there to put your special keys and stuff. There's a lot of pieces in here that you'll see that it takes time to see, but we do have the little communicator. Any Star Trek fans would love that. Basically, after I do the portrait, I look for things, things that would represent them. Like on Aretha, there's a pair of red shoes, which when in her wake, they dressed her in a red dress with red high heels. The hardest part, I think, was to make sure that the portraits looked like them. That was all done on canvas. That's what took a lot of time. And then kind of placing them in these religious type of altars, basically made out of wood and then paper mache and a lot of clay work, and then also putting bits and pieces of things that I found that probably would have gotten thrown away, like half earrings or, keychains. And each story was interesting. I learned so much from that just by doing each piece and learning about each person. And the whole collection, all 17 altars, took approximately 2 years to do. I just want people to see it and appreciate it and learn something from all the people that are being represented.
What a creative way to display and honor those who have made a positive impact on the world.
Absolutely. Thanks to the City of Thornton for sharing that exhibit with us.
The art of filmmaking and a process that makes it personal.
Maryland Public Television brings us the story of one artist's emotional journey, documenting the life of her aging grandmother.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sort of an introvert, and I like spending a lot of time thinking, and making films allows me to process experiences in my life, or it's a way for me to articulate a feeling that I don't really know how to articulate through language. Memory of August is a short film that I made documenting my grandmother when she was in a month-long rehab center. Her Alzheimer's was getting worse, and I didn't know how long she would live, and so I was thinking a lot about mortality and what she felt, getting older, and the pain that she felt and the confusion she felt, and I felt like I could really observe that through her facial expressions. I'm really drawn to how light and texture and form help activate a memory. Whenever I would travel, I would shoot various urban and rural landscapes and do a lot of field recordings with sound, and so these films sort of became odes to a space or a memory and a moment in time, and it helped me process what I was feeling when I was navigating that space. For me, it always starts with emotion, and then I work through the emotion and start to think about what the emotion means conceptually. I like taking a lot of chance, and I like often starting with one little interest and then just pushing it or experimenting or exploring, and treating each film like a puzzle or a little investigation.
I love the essence of that story.
So powerful.
So nice.
I loved it. Finally, we head to the Phyllis A. Greer Performance Studio with Jay Triple.
As always, take it away.
Let's ride. Shout out to the drop. Yeah, let's go. They said a lot about me, they ain't know me. They ain't have my back, they ain't for me. They try to stand beside me like they know me. These homies ain't for me, these homies ain't. They said a lot about me, they ain't know me. They ain't have my back, they ain't for me. They try to stand beside me like they know me. These homies ain't for me, these homies ain't. I do it for the love, what you do it for? You do it for the clout, cause you want that more. Well, now I'm sure everything you do is fake, but we ain't faking no more. You the definition of what fraud is, I'm solid. Eyelids wide, so it's obvious to call it. Oh my God, I'm having withdrawals. I'm feeling things I didn't feel when I was with y'all. I'm a real God, I ain't afraid of the title. I remember times I was afraid of the Bible. I remember when I cut slack on my rivals, but now I'm back, yeah. Bow down cause I'm your idol. But I wasn't being real with myself. I started to put them all before myself. Now I'm saying F it all except my health. Cutting broke people off for the wealth. Imagine how this made me feel. Imagine all that whipping they deserve with my belt. Everybody got their blemishes, but my friendship was never on no gimmick. But my problem is I want them all to be solid like God. If they don't hold you down, then it's time to cut ties. But maybe that's my flaw, and I don't understand why. But you don't understand the joy if you don't comprehend the cries. Yeah, they said a lot about me, they ain't know me. They ain't have my back, they ain't for me. They try to stand beside me like they know me. These homies ain't for me, these homies ain't. They said a lot about me, they ain't know me. They ain't have my back.
Thank you so much for joining us on this episode of Arts District.
And thanks for hanging out with us in my studio. Check us out at rmpbs.org/artsdistrict.
And on Instagram.
I'm Michael Gadlin.
And I'm Kate Perdoni.
Until next time, make it easy.
But make it